Hi and welcome to the latest instalment of TSGL, where you'll find everything simulation for planes, buses, trucks and even trains. TSGL, the Sim Guy Lee. Welcome to Edinburgh Airport, where today we're going to take a quick test flight down to London Gatwick using the latest development version of the FlyByWire A32NX. Today's flight is expected to last about 90 minutes. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified of any future flights that I do and put up onto the channel. So today I'm using the latest version of FS to crew, and the first officer, as you can hear, is currently going through his preparation flow, starting the initial overhead panel, and then he'll do a walk around. So while he's doing that, we'll start thinking about getting ready to continue the overhead panel. Many of you who followed me on this channel know that I'll do this every single time. If you're not interested, you can always skip forward. The time codes are in the description below. You can jump to any part of the video, any part of the flight. So the first thing we do is give the cabin crew some oxygen, give them air, and we start to align the adheres. We make sure that the co-pilot has done some things, so setting the tail light on, we'll turn the seat belts on, arm the no portable devices, and arm the emergency exits. We'll now turn off the fuel pumps, and that is the initial cockpit overhead setup, as the first officer has done most of it. He's turned on the batteries. I will manually turn on the avionics so that my desktop controllers and panels work, and we'll just go through making sure that other things are done. So the anti-skid, we'll check the light level, so we'll increase the brightness on the displays. So that's the middle displays done. We'll do the navigation displays in a minute. As I've said, I've had to reinstall my software, my hardware, complete failure on it. So this is more of a test flight to make sure that everything still works. I've noticed a few things that don't work, and I've got to investigate why. But anyway, let's have a look at today's flight. I've already loaded in from SimBrief into Navigraph charts, the built-in Navigraph charts that is now available within Flight Simulator, and we're going to be flying from runway 24 as I've just highlighted. So let's pick up our chart for the SID, and we're going to be flying from or via the GOSE 1 departure. I'll get it right in a minute. We're looking at the moment, so we've got we've seen our transition altitude of 6,000, and we've got to stay no higher than 6,000 until we pass the Gosan waypoint. So as you can see, I've set my initial altitude to 6,000. That makes sure that the aircraft doesn't fly above it. I've already got the METAR for today. As a lot of you know as well, I use Station WX on my iPad, and I've already found out that in Edinburgh at the moment the QNH is 984. So again, I've already set that. You can probably hear in the background that the various supply trucks have started to come in, baggage, catering. We won't start loading just yet. FS to crew will notify us when it's time to actually start boarding. The person will actually ask whether or not we can start loading the passengers, or as they call them, packs. We've also got to start thinking about our fuel level. So on the flight pad, I've already again loaded the operational flight plan. We know that we need 6,080 kilograms of fuel, so I'm just telling it to reload the fuel. So that's the fuel truck going to be coming up and reloading it, and it reckons they're about 3 minutes to actually do the load. So now we continue with setting up the MCDU. We will import the flight plan from SimBrief. So there you can see EGPH, or Echo Golf Papa Hotel, to Echo Golf Kilo Kilo. We'll get our weights and balance. It's a little bit different to the old one. We'll send a request to find out what our payload is going to be, and we'll start boarding when the purser is ready to board. Next we'll go back to the init page, or should go back to the init page, and actually load the flight plan into the MCDU. We've got to make a small change to the tropo. It's not quite found it. I also believe the so that's the tropo, just change that, and it's a little bit cooler on SimBrief for the cruise temperature, so we will need to change the cruise flight level temperature. Just put that in, flight level 370, and it's minus 61. All clear sight now. I think I actually typed it in wrong, but never mind. So that's the initial init page done. We now need to you can't actually input the ground temperature at the moment. Never mind. It's obviously something that will come at some stage. I don't know what difference it will make to the flight. So now we need to complete the flight plan. We need to click on our departure and set the runway, which is runway 24. Scroll down or no, we don't have to scroll down, do we? So it's the GOS A1C departure, and we'll go and do our approach, our arrival, which is runway 26 left today, and I can't remember what one we were coming in on. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's the Disty 1G, and we're going to be coming in via Willow. That's just confirmed that we've had the fuel loaded, so we should select Willow as a transition.
Hi, the security and safety checks were all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the purser just said that everything's ready for start boarding, so we'll need to go back to the so just finish it off, select Willow, insert that. We'll need to get rid of this discontinuity, it's just basically a gap in the flight plan. We'll just scroll down and have a look at the rest of it. There we go, that's the approach. So I'm just calling in the jetway, and we should be able to then go and start loading the passengers. In the meantime, we'll just finish off setting up the MCDU. Apparently, in the latest version that's been announced since this recording, we should be able to do this from another device, so a iPad, iPhone, another computer. So that'll be good. Let's figure out the wind for today. A little bit of a tailwind, should get down there a little bit quicker. So not much more to do now. We'll set up the performance page, which is takeoff performance, flaps 1. I haven't found out another way of calculating flex temp yet, but we'll do our V1, VR and V2, and as you can hear in the background, the passengers are actually loading now. Transition altitude is 6,000, so that's set. And that is pretty much the MCDU set up. So now it's pretty much a waiting game. We're waiting for the passengers to get loaded, but in the meantime we still can do a few other things. So let's get the first officer to call for clearance. Request ATC clearance.
Clearance delivery. Good afternoon. It's Speedbird. Speedbird is at the gate with the numbers, requesting ATC clearance. Okay, cleared to our destination as filed. Squawk code is as assigned. Speedbird.
check the box.
Okay.
So normally I use Pilot to ATC for my air traffic control. That unfortunately is not recognising my voice. It seems to be set up, but it could just be the fact that the microphone, or it's just not understanding it, but I'll get there, and I may just have to train it a bit more and do some Windows voice recognition training. But in the meantime, you can see we're just doing our final checks with the, with our departure, making sure that we know where we're going. As you can see, we're going to be going out across to the west coast of Scotland, down the west coast of the UK, before cutting across the Midlands and down to London Gatwick. So I've just brought up the departure chart, ready to do our departure briefing with the first officer. So let's do it. Are you ready for the takeoff briefing?
Ready.
Departure runway 24, initial climb 6,000 feet on the Scotia 1 SID. Nice preferential routes terminate at 6,000 feet. Our cruising levels will be allocated after takeoff. Any questions?
No questions.
So as you can see, not necessarily the best departure briefing, but it's something. Okay, I think now we need to go and get our arrival charts so that we can pin those to the bottom. So we'll get our star so that we know which one we're coming in on, and we'll have our approach. So we'll get our initial approach to runway 26 and our final approach so that we can see where we are on the flight plan and where we need to descend to. So as you can see, initially we need to descend to about 4,000 feet before descending to 2,000 feet to capture the glide slope. So it shouldn't be long now before all the passengers are loaded. Just doing final checks, and we can go through the before start checklist with our first officer. So let's get ready for that. Before start checklist. Set and checked.
Completed. Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
On and auto.
ADIRS.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
6080 kilograms.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Baro ref.
Set and checked.
984 set. Down to the line.
So while we're waiting for the rest of the passengers to get loaded, I did invest in Rex Weather Force, but I've had mixed results with it so far. And today I tried to load it and it failed to inject the live weather into the sim, and hence the reason why we've still got clear blue skies. So a bit later on, I'll before we go, I'll have to turn on the live weather in the sim. Now the last time I checked, before my system went down, the live weather in the sim was broken. When you got to about 24,000 feet, you started to get superheat and the plane would lose altitude quite quickly, and you couldn't get above 24,000 feet. So I'm hoping that has been fixed, but I'll play safe and just go back to a preset above 24,000 and go from there.
Hi guys, here's the load sheet for you.
Thanks.
No problem, have a safe flight.
So that's just someone from the ground giving the numbers to us on the weights and number of passengers, etc., that they do before they hand over the aircraft. So it shouldn't be too long now. So let's just do one final check of our route from the gate to the runway, and as you can see, we're going out on 24, basically push back to the right and head straight out. You can still hear the passengers in the background as they get boarded. This is all part of the FS to crew, specifically the FS to crew for the FlyByWire A32NX, as it's got a lot more controls than the normal built-in Asobo A320. The thing with the boarding and of the passengers with FS2 crew is as soon as you start the process, it's 30 minutes. You can jump forward if you want, but it adds to the realism. Anyway, I think it's time, while we've still got nothing else to do, to get the real live weather injected. So let's swap it from clear skies to live, because it's not clear skies at the moment. It's quite overcast and damp and bit rainy as well. Well, here it comes. You can see it loading in the background. Hopefully I can figure out what's wrong with Rex weather force, because when it does work, it's quite good and gets over that problem at 24,000 feet. I need to find out what it is. I seem to go through the exact motions, but for some reason it just says it's injecting and doesn't actually inject anything into the flight sim. So it might be a support ticket yet to find out what's going on. So we're getting close. I think the cabin crew are just about to do their welcoming announcement, so let's listen in to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our flight today. As you locate your assigned seats, please place your smaller items under the seat in front of you to provide more room for larger items in our overhead compartments. If you need assistance, contact the flight attendants. If you are unable to accommodate any item in the cabin, please bring it to the boarding door and we will check it for you. Also review the safety instruction in your seat pocket. If you are seated at an exit seat, also review the exit seating criteria.
Hey guys, all packs are on board. Are we clear to close?
Yes.
Thanks, let me know if you need anything.
So there we are. All the passengers are finally on board. Time to send the jetway away, and we can start getting ready to call for the pushback. Again, I would normally do that through pilot to ATC, but I'm having to do the pseudo one with the first officer. But first we need to do the below the line checks. Below the line.
Windows and doors.
Closed.
Closed. Beacon.
On.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
On.
Before start checklist complete.
So now that the before start checklist is complete, it's time, definitely time now, to get our first officer to call ground and request pushback and engine start. Request pushback and start clearance.
Ground. Speedbird. Requesting pushback and start clearance. OK, cleared to push and start. Speedbird.
So we've got our clearance, time to call the tug and get ready for the pushback. So here it comes. Cabin crew, arm slides and cross check. So the cabin crew have been told to close the doors and secure the aircraft. Time to pop outside and so we can see which way we're doing the pushback. The tug is attached. Let's do the pushback. Starting engine 2.
Check.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board today. This is your purser speaking. Please direct your attention to the cabin crew for important safety information. There is an instruction card in your seat pocket that illustrates the safety equipment on board this aircraft. Regulations require compliance with this information as well as all crew instructions, the lighted information signs and posted placards. Fasten your seatbelt by inserting the metal tip into the buckle. Tighten by pulling on the belt. To release your seatbelt, lift the metal flap on the buckle. It is our policy that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. Doors are clearly marked with exit signs and instructions for door operation. Each door is equipped with an escape slide. Locate the nearest exit to you and note that the nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, lights will illuminate the aisle. The cabin is pressurized. If there is a loss of cabin pressure, a panel will open and oxygen masks will appear. Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened and pull a mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen. Oxygen will be flowing to the mask even though the bag may not inflate. Cover your nose and mouth with a mask. Place the elastic band around your head and tighten by pulling on the ends. Secure your own mask before assisting others. Your life jacket is located under your seat. Tighten the straps and once outside the aircraft, pull on the tabs to inflate your jacket. If the jacket fails to inflate, use the tube placed near the neck. Your jacket is equipped with a light that will automatically illuminate in water. This is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is not permitted in the cabin or in the lavatories. Cabin lights will now be turned off. Reading light buttons are located over your head. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for listening to the safety instructions. Right, let's do the final preparation on the cockpit. Lock the cockpit door. We don't want any unnecessary people getting in, and we'll get ready to taxi. So we will have to do an after start checklist with the first officer and work through that process before we actually get the first officer to call the tower and get our taxi clearance. So let's call through the checklist. After start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Off.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Pitch trim.
As I've not actually set the pitch trim, I'm having to do this now. So using the ECAM, go onto the controls and I can set it to 30% down. Set and checked.
Rudder trim.
0.
After start checklist complete.
Now we can call for our taxi clearance. Request taxi clearance.
Ground. Good afternoon. It's Speedbird, ready to taxi. Cleared to taxi. Speedbird.
Clear left side.
Clear right side.
Okay, a little bit of throttle. Let's start moving this. Now again, this is something new since I last did a video. and that is tiller steering. No longer do we have to do full steering with the rudder pedals. You can now set it up to do tiller steering. Brake check.
Pressure 0.
I think we better put the windscreen wipers on as it's raining. Definitely a little bit more challenging to get used to the tiller steering. You know, it's hard to keep it in a straightish line. Not doing too bad, I don't think, for the first attempt. This is also my first attempt at editing the video and doing the post-production in Davinci Resolve. I always used to do it in Adobe Premiere Pro, but unfortunately that's started to get rather expensive over a period of time, so it'll be interesting to see what you guys think of the quality of the video once it's done. Just ahead or here we're going to do an initial stop, and we're going to do some final pre-flight checks, including the flight controls. So I'll put the parking brake on. You can still see the rain coming down, and we'll get ready to do a flight controls check. Flight controls check.
Ready. Full down. Full up. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Rudder.
Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
And you can see on the lower ECAM the first officer doing the co-pilot pre-flight, controls check as well. That's just a warning to say that the spoilers aren't in the right place to be armed. I have noticed that when you start this off at the moment, I don't know whether there's a little bug, but it's supposed to be, armed, and the first officer's supposed to set that. But anyway, I've done it now. Let's carry on. Let's do the before takeoff checklist, shall we? Before takeoff checklist.
Flight controls.
Checked.
Checked. Flight instruments.
Checked.
Checked. Briefing.
Confirmed.
Flap setting.
Config 1 plus F.
Config 1 plus F. V1, VR, V2, flex temp.
Toga.
V1, 1, 2, 1, VR, 1, 2, 2, V2, 1, 2, 6, ATC.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff no blue.
Down to the line.
As you'll notice, always checking the dials, always checking the display and panels, just in case anything's not right. We can now move forward to the next holding point, just on the entrance to the runway. And guess what? A few more checks got to be done, and checklists. One final checklist before we take off. But first of all, I think it's actually stopped raining. Shall we turn off the windscreen wipers? They're starting to annoy me now. A bit noisy. Wipers off. That's much better. Okay, let's get clearance to take off. Request takeoff clearance.
Tower. Speedbird. Ready for departure. Cleared for departure. Speedbird.
Below the line. The before takeoff checklist below the line sets a flow that the first officer is performing now.
Approach path. Clear of traffic. Takeoff runway.
Confirmed.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
TCAS.
TARA.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
PAX.
Off.
Before takeoff checklist complete.
So as you probably noticed, part of that flow is to turn off the taxi lights and turn on the landing lights for takeoff. Although he only turned on the nose light to take off, not the full lights. But anyway, done that now. We can move forward and enter the runway, ready for takeoff. Okay, we're lined up on the runway. Let's go. Ready?
Ready.
Takeoff.
Check. Thrust set. .100 knots. V1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up.
So we've got positive climb. I've throttled back now for the noise abatement. Next thing will be to set the autopilot on and set flaps to 0.
Packs are on.
Flaps 0.
Speed checked. Flaps 0.
So we're following our SID, going to be maintaining 6,000 feet. After a few minutes, you know, before we can climb to 37,000 feet, which is our cruise altitude.
$1,000 to go.
So as you can see from the navigation display on the left, we've got to go straight ahead, and then we're going to be doing a couple of left-hand turns before we can climb to our cruise altitude. And you guessed it, we're about to do another checklist, which is our after climb checklist. So let's go through that. After takeoff climb checklist.
Landing gear.
Up.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Packs.
On.
Down to the line.
So that's the first part of the after takeoff checklist. We'll do below the line a little bit later on when we start our ascent. So what I'm doing now, I've brought up the charts for our departure. That's where we've got to get to Gossam, and if you can see the orange, the magenta marker that shows us still how far we've got to go on the departure. But as the charts have stipulated, we've got to stick within 6,000 feet until we pass Gossam, and we've got to stay below or around 250 knots, maximum below 10,000 feet. So we've still got a little while to go on this height and speed. Bring up the chart so you can see our progress. We turn right, and you can see that on the lower navigation display as well. We do a right hand turn, and then we'll pass Gossam and we can start to climb. There's not much more to do now. There's the below the line after takeoff checklist. We'll climb to our cruise and reach our top of climb. You are welcome to use the time codes below to jump straight forward to that point, or if you don't want to even follow that the cruise, you can jump to the top of descent. Feel free to jump around at your leisure. In the meantime, sit back, enjoy the flight, and I might see if I can find some suitable music to play in the background. So we've just reached the end of our seat at Gossam. We can now increase our altitude to cruise at 37,000. Set the Barrow to standard as we cross through 6,000, and then we can call for the below the line on the after takeoff checklist. Set standard.
Standard cross-checked, passing flight level 090. Now.
Below the line.
Barrow ref.
Standard set.
Standard set. After takeoff, climb checklist complete.
Clear radnav.
Okay.
We'll do this left-hand turn, and then we can release the passengers while turning the seat belts off. So as we start to level off, we'll get the first officer to turn the seatbelt sign off. Seatbelts off. Let's have a quick look outside at the aircraft. Not that you can see much on the ground below because of the cloud cover, but you'll see the aircraft now. we're starting to climb now above that flight level where it used to have a problem, so let's just put it onto a preset. See a little bit of a wobble as it changes, but we'll just do broken clouds just to keep us going until we descend back down to a safer level. We put live weather back on.
$1,000 to go.
So one of the things I need to do as we approach our top of the climb is to work out where our top of descent is going to be. So if we've got a cruising altitude of 37,000 feet, which I'm waiting for it to synchronise up as we have got less than 1,000 to go, and our target altitude is at 4,000 feet, and we're going to be descending at 1,500 feet per minute, it will then turn around and tell us how far we've got to be away from the beacon to actually get it, and then we can program that into the MCDU so that I've got a reference.
I have control.
So I've just handed control over to the first officer while I now concentrate on those calculations. So 37,000 feet, we're going to want to descend to 4,000 feet. And again, this is something new that I've not done before, so bear with me just a moment. So that's the distance, that's when it should show us the distance. I've just got to get the right button to press. Let's do the vertical speed. And synchronize it. There we go. So we need to be 153, 152, 153 miles from the beacon where we want to be. So let's program that into the MCDU. So here we want to go the distance to, and I believe it's Willow, but I have to look this up to find out how you do it. finally found out, got the information when I have to key this into. It's on the performance page. So if I put Willow and enter it into the 2, we've got 2 options. I don't think it's that far away, so we'll go for the top one. And there we can see we've got just over 200 miles to go. So we've got about 50 miles before we hit our top of descent. In the meantime, I've got a few other calculations to start considering while we're in this cruise, and that is programming the MCDU for arrival with the baro ref, wind, temperature, decision heights, transition altitudes. So I've got to look all of that up on my iPad on Weather Station, Weather at WX, and enter it into our performance. So I've now got the information, we can program it into the MCDU. So QNH 1004, and this might change. We've still got a possibility, one last check before we go. Temperature 15, winds 250 at 14, 15, 11 knots. Weather is clearish, so as this is a test flight, I'm just going to do a final test and do an auto land as well. So as we've got all that in and programmed, we can do the approach briefing with the first officer. Unfortunately, it's not a full one. Are you ready for the approach briefing?
Ready.
Any questions?
No questions.
There is a way of putting a marker on the navigation display that will give a radius so that you can see it visually when you get to the top of descent. Unfortunately, I've not found where you enter the information to show it on the navigation display, so I'll do that next time. I have control.
Checked.
I have control.
You have control.
So there's a little glitch where he didn't understand what I said, so I had to repeat myself. So now I've done all the checks. We are not far from our top of descent. So let's just stay and wait. You can see our progress so far. We've just passing over Liverpool, and we are 168 miles to go, nautical miles to go. So within the next 15 nautical miles we will start to descend. So we've just reached our top of descent and we are now starting to descend down at a rate of 1500 feet a minute and down to 4,000 feet. Now that's going to take a little bit of time, but there are a few things that happen in the meantime. We've put the first officer has put the seatbelt signs on so that people can actually start going to the toilet for the last time and getting ready to go back to their seats. It's quite a gentle descent that I've chose, not quite 3 degrees, but 1500 feet is a nice gentle descent down. So enjoy the descent until we get ready to hit our approach.
Cabin crew, prepare for arrival.
So we're almost going to be crossing through 10,000 feet very shortly. We're in the approach phase. That was activated a few thousand feet previously, and the aircraft is now going to start slowing itself down, targeting it, and we'll go through the procedure of stepping through the flaps in that final 10,000 feet on the approach. As a lot of flight simmers will tell you, a lot of things happen in this final phase of the flight, so I probably won't be doing a lot of talking. Sit back and listen to the commentary. It's going to start off very shortly with the purser advising the passengers that we are about to arrive at our destination.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be arriving at our destination shortly. If you're making a connecting flight, please see the customer service agent meeting this flight or the video monitors inside the terminal for connecting gate information. For your continued safety, flight attendants will now walk through the cabin to secure it for landing. We'll collect any off-service items, newspapers and any other items that you wish to discard or may not be taking off the aircraft with you. Also, in preparation for landing, please turn off all electronic devices. Stow these devices within all other carry-on items. Please use caution when opening the overhead bins, as items may have shifted during our flight. Please stow your tray tables and return your seats to their upright position and check the security of your seatbelts. We'll be landing shortly. Thank you.
$1,000 to go.
QNH 1004 set.
1004 set, passing 4,200. Now.
Approach checklist.
Briefing.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Seat belts.
On.
Baro ref.
1004 set.
1004 set. Minimum.
Set and checked.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Approach checklist complete.
Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
So the aircraft now is starting to slow down. We've set flaps 1 so that we can hold the lower speed. We're now starting to get prepared for the landing. So we're doing our final turns, slowing the aircraft down and ready for our approach. Flaps 2.
Speed checked. Flaps 2.
So we are descending to 2000, which is the flight level that we need to be at to intercept the glide slope for our approach to Gatwick.
$1,000 to go. Radar altimeter alive.
Gear down.
Gear down.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Flaps 3.
Speed checked. Flaps 3.
Flaps 4.
Speed checked. Flaps full.
Landing checklist.
Cabin crew.
Advised.
Auto thrust.
Speed.
Auto brake.
Off.
ECAM memo.
Landing no blue.
Landing checklist complete.
So, as we do this left-hand turn, we should see the localizer get captured, and I'll put a little call out on the left display when we've captured it, so you can see what I'm on about. It's the magenta diamond on the bottom row. So as we turn left, we should start to see that coming across, and I'll put a little note out there. When we get to the proper height, the diamond up and down on the right will be the glide slope, and I'll put a note out when we capture that as well. So there is the first sighting of the runway that we can see, so not far to go. little bit of a left-hand turn and we'll capture the localizer. So I've just armed the localizer, and there we can see there at the bottom the localizer is now captured. Next we are waiting for the glide slope to be captured, and that is the diamond on the right hand side on the vertical axis, and we're about to capture that as well. So I'll arm the approach phase on there so that we can capture the glide slope. You can see it coming down as it comes into, as we get closer. And at 2,000 feet, we'll capture it. We've armed it. And any second now it should capture. Go, we've just captured it, so we're now stable on our approach. Next, touchdown.
One thousand. $500. $400. $300. $200. $100. $50. $40. $30. $20. 10, 5,
Spoilers. Reverse, green, decel. $70 knots.
Welcome to London Gatwick. We'll just exit the runway now that we've got a safe touchdown, and we'll do our post-landing checks and taxi to the gate.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of our flight. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign and the aircraft is parked safely. This will be your indication that it is safe to move around the cabin, gather your belongings and disembark. We'd like to thank you for flying with us today. We appreciate your business and we hope to see you once again on a future flight. Thank you.
After landing checklist.
Flaps.
Retracted.
Spoilers.
Disarmed.
APU.
Start.
Radar.
Off.
Predictive wind shear system.
Off.
After landing checklist complete.
I hope you've enjoyed this flight today. If you have, why not smash that like button down below, and it really does help the analytics on my channel. And while you're there, why not hit that subscribe button and ring that bell? That way you'll get notified whenever I put any new content up onto the channel. I must admit, while I've been playing this back and monitoring the recording, I've noticed that I'm not getting great frame rates, 16, 17 frames a second. That's dreadful. I used to get a lot more than that before my system went down. I'm sure I've got the same settings, but I'm going to have a look, see what it's doing, what's going on wrong. Anyway, it did seem smooth enough. Let's see what happens when it's completely finished processing. Landing light off. Taxi light off. Well, that about concludes today's test flight, and it's thrown up a few little anomalies that I've got to try and work out, but yeah, as I say, if you've enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and ring the bell, and see you on the next flight. Cabin crew, disarm slides and cross check. We've just got to go through all the checks and shutdown procedures and disembarking of the passengers, so yeah, this is the boring bit, I'm afraid. So okay, bye for now. Parking checklist.
APU bleed.
On.
Engines.
Off.
Seat belts.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Nav logo on.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Parking brake and chocks.
On and out.
Parking checklist complete.
Securing the aircraft checklist.
ADIRS.
Off.
Oxygen.
Off.
APU bleed.
Off.
Emergency exit light.
Off.
Signs.
Off.
APU and battery.
Off.
Securing the aircraft checklist complete.